Hello, Earth Angels, both here live on YouTube and on Instagram. Welcome to episode 47 of the Devotional Drip. Your life is a mystery school, and you are your higher self. The Devotional Drip is a free personal development and higher self embodiment coaching series to support creatives, leaders, visionaries, and light workers like you on our nonlinear journeys and devotional paths of healing and awakening and personal empowerment and radical self love and revolutionary self care to support self realization and really higher self realization, which is what we'll be talking a lot about today in relationship to ourselves and our own hearts, as well as our relationship to our journey, the world, and our purpose work. My name is Sarah, and I'm a spiritual and somatic coach, higher self embodiment doula, creative consultant, photo witch, dancer, multidisciplinary artist, devoted mystic, and occasionally I transform into a dragon. I have had the honor of supporting visionary entrepreneurs, change-making creatives, and heart-based leaders through somatic and artful and playful and spiritual and sensual practices and portals into self-care that hits the spot, empowered self-healing, sovereign self-leadership, trauma-informed spiritual awakening, multi-dimensional self-expression, and higher self-embodiment, really for lifetimes. But in 2018, Blood, Bone, and Honey emerged from the depths of my own soul. And I've had the honor of walking with Earth Angels and light workers like you as a part of my professional practice since then. If you're looking for a deeper level of support, or to take the downloads, aha moments, and higher self revelations that you receive from this episode into a container that is calibrated to support you in actually, like the caterpillar does in the chrysalis, digesting yourself, digesting the parts that are ready to just get integrated so that you can use that fuel, you can use that energy in your alchemical practice to come more alive in your higher self expression across the personal and professional altars of your life. I'm currently offering some specials for the spring, and I was going to close the portal on this, but I've had so much fun booking these spring awakening specials that I've decided to keep the menu open. So if you're looking for deeper support, if you're looking for some one-on-one support, I offer higher self readings. I offer multiple coaching containers, as well as private mentorship containers ranging anywhere from 5 weeks to 3 months. And then I do have a 6-month advanced container that you can also apply for. As a higher self embodiment doula, I truly believe it is your birthright to have support, to have a doula as you are on this non-linear journey of birthing yourself. And just like, if you were in the actual birth space and there were things that you needed in order to really come fully alive in your process of opening, that also applies to mentorship and coaching and support. We're not actually meant to do this alone. None of us were ever meant to explore and walk the path of personal development or be in the mystery school as this contained being. We are meant to interact and exchange codes and be together in the circle as we receive each other as reflections of wisdom. And that's really what we're up to in the Blood, Bone, and Honey Pot membership. So today, if you're catching this live, we have a live coven gathering that will follow the drip. And then we're going to go into a series of higher self meditations. I'm going to offer a deep quantum higher self integration journey for this total lunar eclipse Scorpio full moon that we have beaming upon us with some big retrograde energy at play. So that retrograde is actually here to help us as an ally, as a steward, as a teacher to sort of unearth what was already there. And Taurus is an earth sign. So unearthing what was already there so that we can be with it. How can we do our alchemy if we don't even know what's alive? So I just even want to start this transmission by blessing the retrogrades, blessing the planets as teachers. If we're going to talk about the mystery school, then the planets and where the astrology is moving is part of our course curriculum, right? And the planets can also be experienced as these teachers, as these mentors, as these guides who are ruthlessly loving you into your liberation. And it doesn't have to be comfortable in order for it to be healing. Healing isn't comfortable. And oftentimes we actually have to meet ourselves on the edge of that discomfort in order to arrive at the new point in consciousness we've been praying to be delivered to. So I already feel the channel opening. I want to just ground this and say, all of our live coven gatherings have replays. So even if you are not able to join us live today, the transmission that comes through for our higher self journey today will be applicable whether you receive it on the Scorpio full moon total eclipse or not. We're working with the energy of the moons and the energy of the astrology to help us co-create these ceremonies. But my intention as a practitioner, as a healer, and as an artist and coach is to create timeless transmissions. So we're simultaneously working with the power of the now moment, but these transmissions exist outside of time and space. I will often have people telling me, 6 months later that they go back to receive the practice that was recorded at that time, because maybe there was something that needed to happen first in order for that integration, in order for that activation to happen at the next level of depth. So the Blood, Bone, and Honey Pot is timeless. I also just compiled all of our sacred movement practices that we've been offering since the fall in the membership. And we now have something like, I think there's 62 practices on YouTube. And then there's about 5 or so in a backup library on Dropbox. And it's just been so incredible to now have this library of practices that you can tune into any day, anytime. In addition to our movement practices, we've got higher self activations. I've also recorded every one of our live coven gatherings, so you can also receive the replays of those higher self journeys. And these journeys are at the caliber of what I was offering in my courses when I was really in a course mode over the last couple of years. So it's been really cool to integrate that kind of ancient offering into the membership and to get to just show up and do it on a monthly basis. So I look forward to seeing those of you who are in the Blood, Bone, and Honey Pot on our live coven gathering today. And please pray that Mercury does not take my voice away. I'm sure you can hear we're a little raspy this morning. What an invitation to be in some softness. So let's start with a card to set the scene. And if you're watching us live and you have any requests, you want something specifically to be pulled, just tune in and let us know. Where are you today? What has this retrograde churned up for you? If the total lunar eclipse and full moon is beaming in with its absolute brightness connected to Scorpio, the absolute spiral and sign of life and death and birth and transformation and the mystery. At this time on your path, I'm getting the word congealing. We were in the Creatrix codes of metamorphosis on the last couple of episodes, really going through this process of what does the caterpillar go through when it's becoming a butterfly, using that as a metaphor for our own personal development. So having just gone through that portal of the early spring, if you're catching this at the time it's being recorded, or if you're catching this at a different time, you can use the metaphor of the spring to apply to your life. Maybe you just went through this period of awakening and there's buds and blooms just emerging from the depth of your soil. But thinking back over the last 6 weeks or so, what has been congealing? What has been gestating? What has been excavated? What has been just almost like pulled out of you and put on the platter in front of you at the altar of your life to use as material in the alchemical experience of your personal ascension journey? Because if life is a mystery school and you are your higher self, then we could say the coursework is about ascension. Here's the thing about ascension. It happens in the body. So it happens through the breath. It happens through the most human of our experiences, the most mundane of the magic of our daily lives. That's the texture of the mystery school. And I remember actually Kate, who's here live, prompting me with this beautiful question. And I might be remembering it a little differently, but in this moment, I'm remembering it as like, when did you first start interacting with your life as the mystery school? And honestly, the first thing that comes forward in response to that is when the going started to get real motherfucking tough. Beyond what I thought, beyond what I felt, my ego and my personality at that point could hold. Dr. Joe Dispenza, who is incredible and has so many free resources on YouTube, talks about our personality being a combination of our thoughts and our beliefs and our actions. And our thoughts and our beliefs and our actions create a habitual imprint in the way that we interact with ourselves, other beings, and our lives. So if we're wanting to create new imprints, then we're going to have to meet what's there from a new point in consciousness, which for me arrived as meeting life as the mystery school that's ever unfolding. Knowing ultimately that you are your higher self. You are an ancient multi-galactic consciousness that is a direct emanation, I believe, of God, goddess, source energy, spirit energy, and this presence of your atomic source, true identity, the I am identity, is what is constantly wanting to pour in and baptize your awareness and the parts of your ego that are stuck in old beliefs, old identities, and old patterns. So when we're meeting our life as the mystery school, we invite that omniscient atomic source I am presence of our higher self to, like a waterfall, rain down on our mind, our bodies, our hearts, and permeate all of those cavernous spaces where it feels like love has not yet reached. And the most beautiful thing about that is when the love actually reaches that space, it actually activates your original innocence. And you remember, oh, wait, love actually is what that space is made of. It just forgot. And I've been doing a few exorcisms this week, which I did not bargain for, but I am here for it. And that has been a part of my priestess shamanic practice for a long time, since I had my first Chiron return when I was about 5. And my reinitiation with demonic energy this week was showing me that, like, and I even just got this sweet image when I was working with someone, like the dark demon, which also has like deep roots in terms of its etymology, this dark sort of demon energy is the forgotten energy. It's the energy that has forgotten its home. And even in this moment, like, I'm seeing a being like out in the rain with like strangly hair, just kind of standing there, like not knowing which way to turn. Like, that's actually that energy of that dark demonic consciousness. It's hungry. It's hungry. It wants to eat. So then it sucks life force. It sucks your life force, and then it will start sucking the life force of any relationship that it's in. And I know we're getting a whole, I didn't plan on going here this morning, but that sucking of life force, I think is what people are talking about as codependency. Because the pathology of codependency says you need to, inhabit someone else's energy in order to be fully fed, or you need to abandon yourself in order to feel the presence of like a source nutrients within you, to be resourced. And as someone who has been diagnosed as, codependent, like, that's been so a part of my pathologized diagnosis over the last 10 years of my own healing journey. What I've discovered inside of that is, like, it almost feels like a disservice to make it that simple, because at the root of it, codependency is a disconnection from source. And it's looking for that source hit in someone else outside of you. And even if you magnetize in the twin flame, the 18 million friendships that feel so aligned, there's still a space within you that only source, only your higher self, only light, only that original primordial God essence that you are and come from can touch. No person, I don't care how tantric your intimacy is, nobody can touch that spot. And that's actually the good news, because then our sovereignty and our connection with our higher self and God, Goddess, Source is actually not dependent on anyone outside of us. It actually doesn't matter what's happening outside of us. It could all be burning down, and we're still able to inhabit the inner temple and touch that space and live from that source essence, which is the holy water, which is this morning I was reading about it as the empty, like the emptiness of space. Like source is emptiness, it is womb, it is emptiness, and it is also bliss. And you are also a container that is able to hold emptiness and bliss. And that's the practice of meditation, right? Returning to that emptiness, that emptying out, that purging, that pouring of all of what is keeping the mind and the breath and the body and the psyche and the spirit occupied, oftentimes circling around some narratives of suffering where we've been before. And the practice of meditation and contemplative prayer allows us to send that down into the mother, wipe the canvas clean with our breath, and choose something new. Choose the bliss that is our birthright. And a really powerful practice is in every moment that you find yourself starting to spin on that old belief or identity, you I don't even want to use the word catch. You bring loving awareness, loving, unconditionally compassionate awareness to it. Like, oh, here it goes again. Okay. You bring your unconditionally loving and compassionate awareness to it. And then you write a new story. You choose something new. You choose a new thought. And it sounds so simple, but it is so profound to actually bring awareness to the spirals as they're happening, Scorpio spirals. And as you're spiraling down or spiraling out, to recontain that spiral to your central channel and decide. It's a decision. I am my higher self. I am the one who is having my thoughts, my beliefs, my experiences. I am the one. And from that consciousness of I am the one, that is a place of empowerment that you can focus your consciousness on to then be in your alchemy of rewriting, of rewiring, of making new choices. And a reoccurring theme I'm noticing coming forward for myself, my clients, my beloveds right now is, and this is really Creatrix Code's wisdom in a big way. So I highly recommend going back to the last couple of episodes. But what I've been noticing, and with Taurus energy and kind of like the bull and like needing to like make those next steps, but sometimes like it feeling like it's moving a little bit slow, or there's like a stubbornness or just some kind of like energy. That energy is the call to change that we were speaking of in the Creatrix Codes of Metamorphosis. So when you feel yourself between a rock and a hard place, oh my gosh, it's a block. Oh my gosh, I can't move through. That's how you know, bitch, witch, you are up against the portal in that moment. The moment of the most frustration and dissatisfaction and absolute just like you just want to growl about it. That's how you know you're coming like heart to heart with the portal. More on that in episode 44, 45, and 46 of The Drip. So that feels like the opening channel. Also, these little dress things, like, do they come out for y'all too? I'm like, can you just stay in your place? So that's our little our opening channel. Something else I want to say is that Earth's North Node is in Taurus. We're having a Scorpio total lunar eclipse. So the opposing energy and that kind of like stretching and like, how big can I let myself become is part of it. Taurus, Earth, Scorpio, spiral, recipe for absolute expansion. So if you feel the contraction, breathe into the spaces and become the portal. Become the portal. Today in Mystery School class, we're becoming portals. We'll also be doing that today in our live coven gathering with our higher self journey. We're going into the higher self temple today, y'all. Like, it just has to happen. And then for our movement journey to follow, if you're in the blood tier and would like to join us for that, I made sure that everyone in the blood tier also had access to our live coven gathering link. So if you didn't get that, feel free to let me know. It is on the live coven gatherings altar in Discord. So you should be able to just click that and get to it. But we will be following up our live coven gathering with a sacred movement recording starting around 2:15 today. And Paula, I see you on here. So if you'd like to join us, it'd be so fun to have you. No pressure. There's always a replay. All right, let's pull some cards. It's so funny. I feel my voice like about to go, and then I'll start talking about like source and light, and I get this like resurgence from my womb. I'm like, okay, Mary Magdalene, I received this throat chakra activation. She's like, for today's 6-hour transmission, because we really are going to be together in the membership from now until like 2:15. You will speak from your womb, because that's the mystery school, right? It's like, oh, it's not a coincidence that I woke up today with a scratchy throat. I mean, sure, I could live in the most boring reality where I'm like, oh, I guess it's just allergies. Or I could be like, my throat's a little activated today. I'm going to have to speak from a different place within me. Where is the mystery school of my life? And how is my higher self calling me to project, to be a vessel? Maybe there's a new way I'm being called to speak I haven't spoken before. But if I was meeting my life as a threat or this or that, or I can't, or I'm the victim, where would that get us, you know? So that consciousness is feeling alive. It's like a Joan of Arc. Fuck you. I'm doing it. I know it's hard. I'm going to do it anyways. That's how we got to meet it right now. It's like, yeah, okay, so what if it's hard? Yeah, okay, so what if it makes me feel vulnerable? Yeah, okay, so what if I'm scared? Okay. I don't know about you. I've been scared since I hit this planet. And I'm doing it anyways. And actually, and this is where the Creatrix codes, again, please go back to those episodes, especially the alchemy one. This is where those Creatrix codes can just come right in to be like, oh, this whole time you were waiting to not be uncomfortable and waiting to not be scared before you did the thing. You were actually missing out on all of that potential energy that you could use to rise like the phoenix. Don't waste the fear. It's still energy. Don't waste the discomfort. Don't waste the resistance. Use it, lean into it, make love to it, make out to it, breathe into it. Let the light in. That's what the mystery school says. Let's see what higher self has to say to set the tone. Child of the cosmos, the intelligence of the universe exists within you. So if life is a mystery school, then you're also the mystery school, right? Because if you are also the universe, and if you are this, I'm like seeing those dolls that you get, like you pull out. I think they're like little Russian, like wooden dolls. You pull them out of like the big doll, and then there's like smaller ones inside of that. That is how the universe maps. It all comes from the same quantum atomic blueprint. Calling in Metatron's cube in this moment. So there are infinite holographic expressions of that original blueprint, you being one of those holographic expressions. So if life is the mystery school, then you're also the mystery school, meaning like if there's something going on with your body, if there's something going on with your heart, if there's something alive inside of you, then that becomes your coursework. In the same way that if something was existing outside of you that you had to meet in your life, that's also your coursework. And then we are meeting that coursework from the identity of, I am a perfect expression of the great cosmic womb. And there are parts of my human awareness that are still remembering themselves as that original blueprint. And that is the journey of ascending. That is the journey of higher self embodiment. That is the process of claiming, yeah, I'm fully human and fully divine, fully animal and fully angel. What about it? And the motivation to meet yourself, to meet your life as the mystery school, to claim that higher self identity in the moments when the old thoughts and the old beliefs are spiraling out. There's a level, and this is why I think I'm seeing Joan of Arc, and I'm just like, that fuck you, I'm gonna just do it energy, like get the fuck out of my way energy is the like motivating, sacred, sovereign conviction of your soul. We talked a lot about on the Creatrix Codes of Metamorphosis, like your soul is hungry for the experiences that your human ego labels as inconvenient, scary. I wish I didn't have to do this. The soul is like, give me that push up, because it knows that when the being has to meet discomfort, ascension is on the table to be selected as one of the timeline options. We don't always have to choose ascension. I certainly don't choose it all the time. And that's not the point. The point is knowing that there's an option, and that ascension happens in the body, and that the body and being a human is actually the spiritual practice, is having a body, is being a human. And for a long time, as a hypersensitive, neurodivergent, psychic since I could talk, think, be on this planet, mushy gushy being, it took me a long time to really like click the physical part of the higher self embodiment, spiritual awakening journey into being, because I was so scared to inhabit my body after being gaslit and told that inhabiting this full body isn't safe, or it's actually not mine to enjoy. It's for other people to enjoy, and to enjoy it, to take delight, to take pleasure in this vessel, is inherently sinful, wrong, narcissistic, self-absorbed, selfish, all of the labels that have not only been slapped onto the feminine, but on top of mystics, on top of, we're seeing this at large in our culture right now, like this like rejection of individualism and individual expression and sovereign individual thought. And as I've been witnessing this, it looks like codependency playing out at the collective level. And we just were talking earlier, I decided to define very boldly today on this episode, codependency as coming from, at the root, a disconnection from source and a seeking of that source essence within someone else versus within your own vessel. And I think my opinion of what I'm witnessing play out at the collective level right now is like that belonging, that like I have to belong to this group, to this thought, because if I don't, then I don't belong anywhere, and the root chakra is falling out of my pelvis, and where the fuck am I in space? So it's actually safer if I just glob onto this group, this idea, this ideology, and make that my personality. Dr. Joe Dispenza says that's the quickest way to create a block. When we are in our sovereignty, there isn't a need to belong to any group before belonging to your own heart, because Belonging to any group, in my experience, before you belong to your own heart, is actually setting you up to be in a lot of misaligned relationship dynamics where you have to be a version of yourself in order to uphold that belonging. We're wiping that the fuck off the altar, and we're choosing our self-belonging as a part of our core curriculum in the mystery school. Self-belonging is connected to the root chakra. You want to trust yourself, trust your life, have more faith. Self-belonging, source self-belonging, not ego self-belonging. Higher self, I belong to you. God, I belong to you. Source, I belong to you. Rearrange my schedule, rearrange my life, rearrange my relationships. Put me in the right place at the right time. Put me where you would have me. Open my throat, open my belly, open my eyes, open my ears. Allow me to move my own ego out of the way so the channel can just move through. How would love have me move? Those are the questions of higher self-embodiment that we can constantly just be baptizing our awareness with. Those statements are powerful. Those questions are humble. They're symbolic of devotion. And when you open up like that and you say, Source, Goddess, Universe, rearrange my fucking life on behalf of my highest timeline, which inherently cannot be separated from the highest timeline of humanity because we are not separate. What a way to be a motherfucking light worker who is so fierce in their devotion that they're willing to give up the rehearsed self for the exchange, for the higher self exchange of receiving more of your own light actually waterfalling into your body, light at the center of every cell. Let's just be there for a moment together. Let's just drop into some practice with that. This feels too powerful to not utilize the vehicle of our bodies and the sacred technology of our higher self, which is like, if your computer was like, we need a software upgrade. Your higher self is like the ultimate software upgrade that never runs out, that you constantly can just choose. So let's do that together. This is an example of the kind of practices that I lead in the membership. We do long versions of this. Like today, we're going to do a 40-minute journey that sometimes only feels like 4 minutes because we collapse time, and that's just how it is. So, okay. I'm going to invite you wherever you're sitting. Maybe you're driving, so you don't need to close your eyes. Maybe you're walking around your house. Maybe you're doing chores. Maybe you're doing dishes. You don't need to sit. But wherever you find yourself, make physical contact. Bring your awareness to the places and spaces where your physical body is making contact with the earth. And I'm even going to put my foot on the ground right now because I'm sitting on a bolster. Let yourself circuit into the mother, at least with one part of the body. So if you're standing, you can feel your feet. If you're sitting, you can let the spine be fluid and the tailbone drop and the pelvis be like a big, heavy butterfly full of water and sovereign goo. And if you'd like to lay down, you're also welcome to do that. Just taking a moment in a savasana, a corpse pose, symbolizing that when we lay in corpse pose with our arms pouring out of our heart and our legs pouring out of our pelvis and our whole being surrendered onto the earth, that we're actually available from corpse pose to be rebirthed anew as a new self. So if you need to lay your body on the ground for a couple breaths, please, please, we have time to do this. Because it collapses other pockets of time in other ways. We don't, rush through the thing and then break the thing and then the thing spills because we're rooted into presence. So taking an inhale, rooting into the body, bringing the awareness to where the earth touches the physical places of the body. Exhale, dripping your awareness down. Letting the awareness move down the spine, bringing your awareness down into earth. Inhaling, drinking up from earth, receiving resource like a plant drinking up from its roots. Bring that all the way to the crown, through the spine, And then exhale, every cell gets illuminated with light at the center. And then inhale, drinking up water and resource. Cells at the middle illuminated with light. And then exhale, letting go of the brain, letting go of the crown, letting go of the shoulders, letting go of the ears, letting light waterfall through the spine, spiraling, circling, wrapping every cell, wrapping every organ, wrapping every bone in light. And as it does, there's this original blueprint that also just wants to spiral open. And I'm seeing this sort of original blueprint spiraling open within you. And it's almost like it's washing over like the other information, or it's washing it away. Let's just let this happen. So you can see a spiraling open from every atom that congeals to manifest your human body. There's a spiraling open. You can see rainbow light. Or maybe there's a specific color that your higher self is guiding in the spiraling open at the center of every atom. And then breathe into the fullness of that light. Exhale, let your body be heavy and drink that light all the way in. And you can give yourself a little shake, a little bounce, a little right and left, a little hand on the heart. Maybe you want to just let the lips flutter. Maybe you want to make a sound with the breath to just symbolize yourself drinking that in. And then if it feels okay for you, to your higher self and source, you could give yourself a very just sweet devotional offering of I am yours. I am yours. Please use me. Please move through me. Please guide me. And then I'm just going to invite you to feel your higher self. I'm actually seeing them just drop right in front of you like a guardian angel. And you can ask them in this moment if you'd like to clear your path ahead so that your higher self is actually walking in front of you. And anytime you're meeting those moments in your life that we were talking about that are just feeling extra tender, and like there's so much resistance, and like you know it's a portal, but god damn, it feels like a block. Know that your higher self is walking before you, paving the way, just like all of the ancestors and all of the mystics and all of the light workers and all of the artists and all of the courageous ones and all of the microphones and vessels and chalices and temples for source, the saints like you, the earth angels like you have walked before. It is a well-treaded path. And then there's the footprints, there's the imprints that you're leaving that only you could leave. Nobody else. How could they? If you have the blueprint of your soul, how could they leave the same footprint? How could they leave the same imprint? This is why we need you to be excellent. And I know that word has a lot of stuff globbed onto it from the systems of oppression that are crumbling now. And you get to reclaim excellence, empowerment, confidence, selfishness, self-centeredness as your divine birthright. And in this moment, I'm just feeling like we need to shake some stuff off our fields. Let's shake it off together. Shaking off the front of the field, down the side of the auric field, shake behind the body. Shaking up and breaking up stuff in the field around you. You can use your breath in your arms to move energy. And then you can just see yourself surrounded in an orb of your own light, full of yourself. Reclaiming that as not wrong. And then from this space, the next two cards coming forward are Forge, Don't Follow. Pave a new path. Be the leader you wish you had. Come on. Come on. pave a new path. Y'all, this happens on the drip every time, and like every client, I will never not be like absolutely humbled by magic. And I'm just so grateful for that, because every time this happens, and I think it's really important to like pause in these moments of affirmation and let it be good news. There's so much coming at us all the time that may feel like it's not good news. So when we can choose to focus on the absolute promise and prayer of our divinity, and the fact that magic is fucking real, and the ascended masters are here, and our ancestors are holding the circle for us, and we are our higher selves, like when we let ourselves just baptize our awareness in that good news, the entire dimension that you're living in changes. Because yes, hell-based realms and dark energies and consciousnesses are real. As a shamanic higher self embodiment doula priestess who's doing a lot of energy work on a lot of people right now, and just doing a lot of energy work and physical embodiment work in general, like I'm witnessing people like choose new realms to live in, like choose new dimensions to literally inhabit, and it's that real. And that's part of the mystery school too. One of my teachers, Kaya Ra, author of the Sophia Code, talks about walking the way, the beauty way, which is like, no matter what is in front of me, I'm going to make beauty with this. Because what else is there to do? Create more violence and suffering? No, we're going to make beauty with it. And that also means that we can scream our faces off and make primal sounds and let saliva drip out of our mouths and make paintings with our blood and like call the compost compost. It's not loving and lighting things away. I was telling this story this week to one of my friends when we were on a run. I was like, I feel like sometimes, like when I'm receiving from my guides and the ascended masters and my ancestors, like the kind of path I'm supposed to walk, I'll get this image of Mary Magdalene when she would work with the energy of the Egyptian goddess of sacred rage, Sekhmet. She would work with that alchemical energy, call it into her field in the mystery school, in her practice, and then literally inhabit that energy of Sekhmet, the ancient Egyptian goddess of sacred rage, to then go into the fields of women who were lying on the streets, who had just been brutally tortured, raped, abused, and she would go into their field and, like a hungry mama tiger, eat the dark energy, and blood would drip from her mouth. This is also the energy of sacred goddess of destruction and holy mother of the universe, Kali Ma, who sprouted out of the sacred rage on Hindu goddess Durga's forehead. Like, so that, hello, higher self awakening, sacred rage is part of it, is the point of this transmission. And it's going to be bloody. And if you have blood dripping from your mouth and you feel like you're eating compost and growing a self from that, that's also the beauty way. How could the compost, how could the decay, how could the death, how could the blood not be beauty when it also comes from source? So we're being greedy. We're taking all the energy that's inside of us and the anything negative around us, and we're going to be like Sekhmet, and we're going to eat that up, and we're going to be the leader that we wish we had. And from that place, we're going to pave a whole new path. That's a light worker. That's a new earth leader. Forge, don't follow. Pave a new path. Be the leader you wish you had. Earthed. Learning how to be human in the world, but not of it. So we can acknowledge, and Green Tara has been a huge teacher. Goddess Green Tara, Tibetan goddess Green Tara, has been a huge teacher, and her mantra, Om Tari Tutari Ture Soha, has been a big teacher for me around this. Again, hellish realms, realities, energies, dimensions exist upon this earth. You get to choose. And this is new earth. It's a consciousness. You get to choose the dimensional reality that you live inside of. And you can be in this world, but not of it. You can be at Walmart and you can be a fucking priestess. That is actually the most ancient way to interact with the community, right? To just show up in your priestesshood, in your wizardness, in your magical expression as the Hierophant who is deeply connected to Taurus. And no matter what realm of the earth you find yourself in, you can just be the Hierophant. You can just be the priestess. You can just be your higher self. It doesn't matter what's happening outside of you. Even if it's the darkest, gnarliest, whatever. Like I said, I've been doing some shamanic exorcisms over the last couple of weeks, and I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because I can I've seen it in corners of rooms, in people's eyes, right in front of me. Sometimes these energies will present themselves, and it's us. It's us. It's all us. And it might be ancestral, and it might have gotten logged somewhere in the liver. And it's not actually scary. It's just consciousness that's forgotten that ultimately it comes from love and it wants to go home. And you're the one who's actually releasing that energy. Ooh, full goosebumps, like back to its home. It's like when you reclaim those parts of the inner child or the parts of the consciousness that are just shrouded in darkness. Like all those little beings want is to come home. They don't want to fuck up your day and your life and your relationships. They just want to be noticed and they just want to be welcomed home. Okay. I'm going to check these comments because I was in a full channeled state and could not read. Oh, hi, Sarah. Oh, hi, you guys. Hello, my beauties and my babies. Hi, Caroline. I love you too. Sean Dadasi. I love that name. Okay, let's pull some more cards. I'm sweating. I want to stay on until 11:15 today, and then I'm going to take a little break before we have our live coven gathering. And like I said, we're going to start that out with the higher self meditation that I record for the basics tier in the membership, which you can access for $5 a month. I'm literally dropping multiple higher self meditations a month at that price. You get access to our private coven Discord, all of the past meditations. I think there's maybe like 15 in there now, and they're all higher self, like shamanic, energetic activations that I would offer for my clients at the top of a session or in a session. Like that's the kind of work that we do, but they're channeled at the collective level, so you can just tap into them anytime. So we'll start our coven gathering with that. And then we'll go into some expressive writing. And then we're going to go into a version of the higher self temple journey because I've just been getting so many requests from some of you who've been working with me since 2018 to like revisit that meditation. So we're going to do an updated version of that today, meet our higher selves and our inner child in the temple, see what wants to happen, recommit on a little cosmic contract front with this total lunar eclipse. And then after that, we're going to be in some coven discussion. And then we'll go into a live recording of a sacred movement practice that we'll be channeling as the moon is coming into its full expression. And there's always a replay for all of this. So Blood, Bone, and Honey Basics tier, you can join for $5 a month. The Blood tier is $33 a month. That gives you access to all of our sacred movement practices. We have 67 or something like that in our archive now, both offered by me and master yogi, yoga therapist, artist, dear friend, and teacher of mine of many years, Nina B. of Centering Life. There's a beautiful restorative retrograde practice in the library that I recommended to some folks this week. And I've heard you guys have been tapping into that and really liking that. There's also another one that Nina offered for like crystallizing during the eclipse, which would be really nice for some of these things that we went through today. And today's movement practice is going to be about emerging, meeting the mystery school, and really just letting our higher self-awareness baptize us from feet to crown. So that's what we've got going on for the rest of the day in the Blood, Bone, and Honey pot. We'll be flowing until about 3:30 or so today. And there's replays for all of this. So if you can't join us live, you always will have access to your living practice library. You can find out the details of all of the tiers at patreon.com/blood, bone, and honey. It's linked in my bio. And if you have any questions, please feel free to drop in. Something else I want to mention, and since I already did say the blood tier, I also just want to say that bone tier is $5. Blood tier right now is $33. Basics tier is $5, blood tier is $33, bone is $55. That gives access to our live coven gatherings, which also function kind of like a group coaching call. And then we have the honey tier, where you get access to our healing artist in residency masterclasses. We already have an embody your astrology, mapping your inner cosmology masterclass that Megan, our current healing artist in residence, offered last month. And she took us through how to pull a chart in the way that she does as a master astrologer, all the little things that she tags, the website she uses. She even tags the little goddess asteroids. So like I happen to actually see that not only do I have Isis in my chart, which makes sense with my business witchery, but I also have Sekhmet rising. So I love to talk about eating demonic energy and the blood dripping down, as we were talking about before. I'm hungry for it. So Megan offered that, and she also is offering us a monthly yoga nidra right now. And I've tapped into the yoga nidra she's offered at least 3 or 4 times since it was recorded. And it's been a beautiful bedtime ritual for me to just shut off everything and just listen to the ancient science of a yoga nidra transmission that takes me deep, so that my dreams can also inhabit the inner temple space. Because here's the truth. If in your waking life, you're spinning on some fear-based stuff, what do you think is happening when you go to sleep for 8 hours or however long? What's going on for all that time? So yoga nidra, yogic sleep, is actually a beautiful practice that you can integrate into your energetic hygiene routine at the end of the day to what? Baptize the awareness, change the brain state, go deep, and then from that place, have a really deep, restful sleep. Yoga nidra is also said to be equal to about 4 hours of sleep when it's offered within its like traditional structure. So it's a great thing to tap into if you're also feeling really tired during these eclipses. And Megan is going to actually also be offering a new masterclass this month, as well as a new yoga nidra. She's also going to be offering that next month, and that's at the honey tier, which you can join for $77 a month. And you get everything at that tier. So you get access to our live coven gathering archive, all of our higher self meditations, our archive of sacred movement practices, including yoga dance practices, restorative yoga and sacred journaling classes, mind body centering chakra flows, and then a bunch of flows that Nina offered in the fall when she was our healing artist in residence. We also have playlists. I've been dropping journal prompts for every episode of the Devotional Drip. There are coven shares. We have prayer requests. People share photos from their practice. I mean, it's really just such an answered prayer of mine to have created this space that we can continue to pour into, and it can build upon itself. It's not like, here's the portal opening and then it's closing. The blood, bone, and honey pot is just going, because it is a mystery school. So if you're like, this transmission is hitting me, I would love to like be guided in practice that helps me take these ideas and these offerings and integrate it into my soma and into my breath and do a little self-guided energy work. Join us in the blood, bone, and honey pot. Okay, that's my spiel. God, Goddess, Source, higher self of every being listening here live and on the replay, how can these angels, these children of the cosmos, how can they move right now in alignment with their highest timeline, which cannot be separated from the highest timeline of humanity? What's a movement card or a set of movements that's really going to resonate? Already on the bottom of the deck. Be fluid. Yeah. Okay. Calling in the mermaids. Let's shuffle. What does be fluid bring up for you? Oh, Caroline, working with Sarah is like being deeply held and healed and rapidly expanded at the same time. Every session with her changes my whole life. Healing artist in residence, so beautiful. Thank you for those beautiful reflections, Caroline. It's an honor to work with you. Fucking love my job, you guys. Okay. Be present. Man, presence has been the reoccurring theme for this total lunar eclipse portal, for these retrogrades. And look at this little being just sitting in the middle of their own energy in the mystery school. And when you're present, you can decide, where do I want to swim next in consciousness? When you're present, you're connected to your agency. When you're present, you're connected to choice. When you're present, you can be in your alchemy. What's the anchor? The breath. The breath is like in the mystery school, the breath, the body become the vehicle. The breath, the body, the mind, and the heart become the vehicles working together to grow the self that you feel your higher self calling you into. We're growing selves. We're growing the self that we already feel emerging, and we're fortifying ourselves, and we're meeting ourselves on that growth edge. And we are celebrating every time we fall down, because we know that's a part of learning how to stand back up and actually even building the resilience and the capacity to stand. Terrarium. This has come forward quite a bit on the drip. And I think it's because it provides a really nice sort of visual for us in terms of like, if this is the temple of our body, there's all of this stuff going on. There's this ecosystem, right? This is the temple of our body. There's this ecosystem. And in the terrarium, it's like, how do things need to be adjusted? How does the temperature, where does the water need to go? What needs to be fed? What needs to be repotted in order to hold space for the self that you sense yourself growing into? On this total lunar eclipse full moon, or whenever you're catching this, what is being repotted? Thank you, Kali Ma. I mean, when we just call on the goddesses and then they pop out of the deck, again, it just is like deep affirmation. This is Kali, who we were talking about earlier, Hindu goddess, deeply connected to also Egyptian goddess Sekhmet and Mary Magdalene. Her card says, the mother of the universe, I release all that doesn't serve me. It's time to be the truth of who I am. And we've been talking about this a lot on the drip. Like, it's not necessarily going to be this version of self that's palatable or easily digestible or even comfortable. It doesn't need to be comfortable to inhabit a self that you're growing into. I really want to speak to like, the discomfort is okay. It's not a stop sign. Pain, true pain, okay. Like, be in your sovereignty around that. I'm not here to say what stop signs and go signs are. That's for you to decide in your own mystery school. But the discomfort is the catalyzer in the recipe, and it's needed. It's the agitation that sparks newness alive. Kali Ma will drag you lovingly to every altar you need to be brought to in order to reclaim the parts of self in the terrarium that are part of your prayer to be expressed. So it's like when this destruction energy comes in, Kali is also really connected to the tower in the major arcana. When this energy comes in, it can be easy to be like, my creation just got knocked down, or everything I've been building is just, and it's actually that Kali is inviting us into the spiralic process of becoming, awakening, and having drafts. Like, whether it be of a project, of a relationship, or of a self, like letting there be versions. You don't have to be in a final fixed state. If you were, that would probably mean your life is coming to an end, right? And within this life, we live so many lifetimes. And Kali is like that Grim Reaper birth doula who's simultaneously like, all right, bury the old self in the soil, and simultaneously, who's getting birthed? All right, that feels like Kali's transmission. Let's pull a Magdalene card since we've called her in today. And if anyone has a request, a card request, please feel free to drop in and let me know. Mary Magdalene, what would you offer these earth angels to just ease any suffering, any stickiness, any hardness? Taurus, decisions, moving things forward. Do, one thing at a time. Decisions can be really overwhelming, yeah? Especially when there's a lot of things moving. And even when you make the decision, again, sometimes Kali Ma comes in, that eclipse energy comes in, and it knocks it down. So we've got the gratitude card here as well. For every new draft of every new decision that you're making. We were just talking about this energy of drafts with Kali. Versions of self, of relationships, of projects. Decisions hold the energy of momentum and action. Decisions are like the vibrational essence that precedes the spell of the action. Action is a spell. As you are at every new point making a new decision about something, call in the light of Sophia, of Source, this rose quartz pink energy of the heart. You can see your heart like a rose. You can see a warm pink glow at the heart. And from the heart, you can just simply ask from a place of gratitude that you have direct connection and communion with this space and place within you that actually has something like 40,000 more neurons than your brain, your heart does. You can ask this space and place, how can I move next? And then decisions become a part of the spell work. No longer are they overwhelming because you just have to make so many decisions. What a hell-based consciousness to inhabit. No longer is it like, oh my gosh, all these decisions. It's like, wow, all of these opportunities to commune with Source and move from my heart. I literally have so much gratitude that this is the point in consciousness that I get to live my life from. And when you start doing this at a next depth, there's a whole dimension. There's a whole new dimension that opens up. It's like every time you inhabit the heart deeper, a whole new dimension is going to open. Making decisions from the heart is a beautiful way to start to build that force field and fortify it as the place that the mind is actually deferring to. But then how do we do that? Well, looking at our somatics tools, how do we create heart-brain coherence? What's the first thing that's going to stop a fear-based looping thought? Taking a breath, because it anchors you into the body. It anchors you into the present moment so that you can fluidly make your next decision, think your next thought, choose your new neural pathway from that place. We are choosing neural pathways in the new earth. Any other cards that want to come forward? I feel like this transmission was like really like dense, even though it's shorter than we typically go. I've also been calling that in for the drip, like a little more condensed. Let's call forward an angel card. This is one of my first decks I got almost 10 years ago now from my sister. Shout out to Eden. I know sometimes she watches the drip. Let's ask the guardian angel of your higher self for an affirming closing message. What's going to really hit that spot? The kind of light that's going to go into the cavern. 3 angel cards. So there's a Yvonne angel card that talks about connection with animals. You have a special bond with animals. Your pets on earth and in heaven are watched over by angels. It's our first little angel card. Our next one is Serena. I am the angel of abundance. You will receive the money that you need, and Source is in charge of how that will happen. Have faith. All right. So in the mystery school of our life, guess who's also our employer as light workers? Source. I mean, that's who pays me. I don't know who pays you. Where does your money come from? Mine comes from Source. If money is just energy and a representation of the energy that's always circulating, then why not claim that at the root, at the source, it comes from Source, and that's where it's coming from for you. Watch you claim that, and then watch the money pour in from channels and pathways you didn't even know were possible. So right now in this moment, let's all just say, Source, you're my employer. Invite me to move the way that you would have me move. In the last deep ceremony I sat in, there was 3 things that I asked for clarity around. 1, rewiring my relationship with time as a hypersensitive, spiralic thinking, neurodivergent CPTSD survivor. I was like, I want to be in a new kind of relationship with time, which totally happened. The second one was, Goddess, please rearrange my schedule. I don't want to be in control anymore. I truly actually want to follow through with the aligned action as a soldier of light, but I don't have any interest in being the one who needs to know where all of the things are going to go. When I'm there, I find myself being in a really ego-driven place, not demonizing the ego. The ego is great. We need the ego. It's what separates us from animals. And we also are animals, but it's what allows us to have an identity and a personality and really be stewards and guardians of this planet. So, and the ego is needing to be baptized with the awareness of the higher self constantly, which is where my prayer was Goddess, please rearrange my schedule, which has also started to pour in. The third one was this desire to know ecstasy and to redefine that word for myself, just like we were redefining excellence and confidence and empowerment and self-centeredness. I really wanted to redefine ecstasy. And what I was brought to was ecstatic expression is not just joy. Ecstatic expression is the vacillation between the grief and the gratitude, and being willing to vacillate between those 2 spectrums as many times as you need to let your heart get a bird bath in the light of your higher self and your soul. It's only in the feeling that we come alive. So that's what I want to say about scheduling, time, and ecstasy, and giving it up and letting Source be your employer. Akasha is the last one here. You are a spiritual teacher. You have the ability to counsel others and help them awaken their spiritual gifts and divine life mission. So Akasha points to the Akashic records, which exist at the level of vibration. The Akashic records are a library of vibrational information that you can access through your breath. One of my teachers says that all of the Akashic records actually live within the library of our diaphragm, because all of our ancestors also took that same in-breath and then received that that or move through that same exhale. And as you inhale and exhale, you can actually, especially if you're attuning to the heart, you can comb through the Akashic records. This is what practitioners are doing when they read your records or they take you into past life regression. Notice that it's always through the breath. And then there's visuals being introduced, and there's the shamanic aspect and the ancient aspect of journeying with the breath and with visuals to access that information. And you don't need an Akashic Records reader to do it. I mean, you can do that. I love doing that. I love sitting with practitioners. And the point of this feels like to empower you to like comb through the information of your diaphragm and see what you find. This card is affirming that you're a spiritual teacher. So I'm not telling you anything on this episode of The Drip or any of the drips that you don't already know. On The Drip, we're just pointing to information that we're retrieving after lifetimes of intentional suppression of this information, because when we inhabit the inner temple, we cannot be dominated and controlled in the same way, because we don't give a fuck about belonging to systems of oppression that need to crumble now. We give a fuck about belonging to our own hearts and source. We got some questions coming through on Instagram. Let me see what is alive here. Okay, we have a request for a card from Shonda Dasi. And then, oh my gosh, I think those two cards are meant for me because I have many doubts about keeping my dogs because I have financial problems at this time. Oh my gosh. Okay. Woo, we got to pull another affirming card around that too. And yeah, I just want to show you this little angel card with the animals. So, okay. The animals and the familiars are also part of our mystery school experience. It's frozen on Instagram. I'm going to give it a moment. Are we back? Let me know. Okay. Our animals are part of our mystery school experience. They are our familiars. They are our guides. This sweet being is sharing that they're feeling concerned because they're having financial issues at this time. And like, God, do I know that feeling of like, and my babies need to eat. Be in a radical prayer. This is for the specific beloved soul. And also I'll just speak into the collective at the same time. Be in a radical prayer practice around and feel it from the root chakra, feel it from the base of the spine. Like as you're in this prayer practice, feel the base of the spine, feel the perineum. You can even put your hand on your pubic bone and a hand on your heart and magnetize that resource towards you. One of my teachers once offered around like this abundance transmission that you have to be the vessel in order for the oil to fill it. So if you're magnetizing in abundance, if you're calling in abundance, especially for something as sacred as feeding your family, radically inhabit the vessel and see that oil pouring in. And even when the fear-based thoughts want to come in to say, I don't know how this is going to get paid. It always does somehow, right? So what would happen if there was even more of a radical claiming of like, I am the chalice that is here to be filled by the abundance that is my birthright. There's a receptivity that is the invitation for you in the mystery school for your specific embodiment exercise right now. And for all of us, like I could definitely be embodying some more receptivity. But it's choosing, like, even if the mind is like, I'm in lack, it's being so discerning as your higher self to say, and I understand that's a consciousness. I am rewriting. I acknowledge the fear. And I am a child of the universe. I am a child of source. I am a vessel that's available to be filled with oil. I am going to radically and revolutionary embody a state of receptivity because fuck the other timelines. and I'm feeling like a mama bear or like a divine parenting, like come forward to just kind of like put that stake in the ground and say enough. And I know a little something about transmuting ancestral patterns of financial spiralic shit. So receptivity is your keyword. The mystery school assignment is to be the vessel. The visual is to see oil pouring in. Like I'm seeing like golden, nutrient dense oil infused with the exact textures of consciousness that you need, not only to support you in meeting this moment, but that's going to carry you forward on your path. Just like we call the higher self to drop in front of us and be the way shower. I hope that's helpful. Please feel free to reach out. I would love to send you like a little just complimentary meditation, something like that, if that feels helpful. Okay, we're going to pull a card now for Chandadasi. I hope I'm saying that right. And then we're going to maybe pull one more card and be done. I know I already said that, but this is how we do it. I'm always like, we're logging off and then it's like an hour later, but I really am just going to pull a card for this soul. Then we'll pull a portal closer so I can scramble some eggs and make some toast before this live coven gathering. Okay. I'm feeling the Magdalene deck for you, dear one. Let's pull you a card. Chandadasi. From your higher self. Oof, 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 oof. Divine order. We talked a lot about releasing control today. There is a way that source wants to sequence your life that the ego couldn't conceive because it's not liberated enough to do it. And that's all of us. Like there's a reason that divine timing and divine order and trusting that become a part of the practice of building faith and developing a belief system and an identity that's in alignment with like, I allow myself to be led by a presence of love that birthed my soul. 11:11 on our time. Yeah. There's a sequencing. There's a sovereign sequencing. I'm seeing like layers of a cake or like a recipe and just like not judging God's creation, not judging your creation, not judging the version of self you are now or where anything that you're creating outside of you is currently at. Putting the judgment down and like delighting in the in-process state. Celebrating and rejoicing that there's an ordering that's shifting into place. And something that I heard with this huge 30-year shift of Saturn moving into Pisces in March was there's going to be a deep divine redirection at this time. So just let it happen. And this Be Fluid card has pretty much been coming forward on every drip since January. I was born on 1/1 and mother on 11/11. Oh, I'm so glad that there's just been so many deeply affirmative moments on this episode of The Drip. Yeah. So here's your two little higher self-embodiment invitations. Be fluid, divine order. It kind of makes me want to just like throw the cards. I'm like, thank God. You know, like that's truly the place that I've arrived at in my relationship to divine timing and divine order. I'm just like, thank Goddess that I don't have to decide. Not that I'm not brilliant, but I know the parts of my ego and my wounded inner child that are still getting liberated. The moment that I started just like really giving it up at the next level of my high priestesshood is the moment that like, just all of the prayers started flooding in, but it looked like a lot of death and destruction and Scorpio to start out with. Cause there's a holy purification. And I think that's why Kali Ma was coming forward, mother of the universe. Like I'll show on YouTube too, like, look at this card. Like, she's like, this process of loving this into a state of loving this part of the consciousness into a state of this, and this is the mystery school task. On YouTube, loving this part of the consciousness and meeting it with this ferocity, this level of reverence, and this kind of heart-centered, like, look at this rose. It's like the heart. Like, the heart can keep spiraling open infinitely. There's the child of the cosmos. The intelligence of the universe lies within you. The universe is ever expanding. So if the universe is ever expanding, how could your heart not be ever expanding? There's no limits. There's no final state. Even if you do decide in one of your lifetimes, maybe even this one, to ascend and become an ascended master and not come back to Earth school or other planets in the multiverse, like, there's still an expansion that happens. I'm just like receiving in this moment, like, even for the masters of light, like Mother Mary, Isis, Kali Ma, Persephone, Durga, Inanna, Kuan Yin, Green Tara, Hathor, all Mary Magdalene, all of these ancient primordial goddesses continue to ascend through loving you. And that's the cosmic agreement. It's just like, even if you're an adult, a child is there to be your teacher. There's no hierarchy. There's just rings of helpers, and then those who are receiving help and doing the work. And in the mystery school of your life, it is an honor to be a guide, and a vessel and a microphone for codes that I pray are rooted in love and bloom into so much liberation in your life. I'm just seeing like flowers blooming and blooming and blooming and blooming. And you can just hold that for this eclipse and your heart, because that's Scorpio too, the spiral. And the heart is just wanting to bloom. And the depth and all of the darkness in the stairwell is wanting to be illuminated by light. And you can call that light in like a spiral from the crown of your head to the base of your feet, and then out into your field and your auric bodies. So see yourself as a spiral force of light. Wherever you go, whatever you do, and baptize your own awareness and the awareness of the space through the vibrational conversation in the field. You don't even need to say anything. It's through your presence. It's through your embodiment. Show up like that, bless the world, and watch how the world blesses you back. Because does quantum physics and quantum theory not just teach us that it's all a feedback loop? I'm so glad I was able to catch this live. I love you and I love your energy. Oh, so much love to you, Olivia. Thank you for sharing that sweetness. Thank you, Angel Woman. You are so welcome. And my favorite deck, that's a fun question. I'll just tell you the decks I have right now, because they change. Well, I have out here with me right now. I've got my Cosmic Dancer deck, which I really like because all of the cards in this deck, like, you know, the Be Present one, for example, there will be in the book, like a somatic movement activation that goes along with each of the cards, which I find to be really fun, especially when I'm just in my own practice. And I find them to be really helpful as oracle cards in terms of like, how can we move? Like, what is the action? So I'll use different decks, and I do sometimes read traditional tarot, but I just am a visual artist and I love oracle decks so much. And I deeply respect the system of the tarot, and I use the major arcana as one of my systems, but I tend to just really gravitate towards oracle decks. So that's one I really like. I'll show you that one. Then I have this earth faceted deck. I think that's what it's called. Might be the faceted earth deck that my client and friend Serena gifted me. It's so beautiful. It has all of these different like little earthy, spiritual, symbolic, archetypal messages. Then Kim Kranz is incredible and has a couple of decks. This is her animal spirit deck, which I didn't pull today, but I really like this one. And it's broken down by the elements. And then there's also spirit cards. This Kuan Yin deck, the Wild Kuan Yin deck, it's called, was gifted to me. And this is also recorded on YouTube. So if you want to scrub back through, it'll be at the end of this recording on YouTube, just Blood, Bone, and Honey on YouTube. And it's linked in my bio too, if you're on Instagram. But this deck was gifted to me by Marissa, who may also watch The Drip. And they're kind of upside down right now, but there's just really beautiful, wild imagery on these. This is a favorite amongst many, the Starseed Oracle. And there's all different like starseed messages in here. My friend Caroline got me this for my 30th birthday. This is an angel deck that my sister got me. I saw Eden pop on here. Hi, Eden. Like I said, almost like 10 years ago. And I like this deck. It does have a lot of like God language. So I find myself with this deck and with all decks, like I always feel deeply convicted to change the language to the most inclusive language, especially as someone who grew up in the South, in the church, and was branded with the Mary Magdalene whore archetype at a very young age and like kind of rejected from spiritual spaces, even though I was channeling and having visions and speaking in tongues from a really young age. I just like wasn't invited because I wanted to have my titties out and wear spaghetti straps. Like literally, there's a interesting story of me being in the liturgical dance group, and the woman who was running it actually pulled me aside and was like, this dance that you just did, I had like performed this solo. She was like, it's not for the glory of God. That was about you. And also you're wearing spaghetti straps. And also that's inappropriate. And also, here's all the reasons why you're not holy or innocent enough. And here's all the reasons why you're a sinner. And I'm like, I mean, this was early. This is like pre-bleed. I was receiving these messages like pre-puberty. And my journey, I mean, maybe I'll do a whole devotional drip episode about this one day, but my journey of feeling so connected to God, feeling so connected to spirit, really never knowing anything else, but then being rejected by the space that was supposed to be the holy space is actually what a huge part of what catalyzed me into my mystery school journey of finding the goddess. Because I was like, I feel so spiritual. I feel so connected to God, goddess, source. But this set of rules and these circumstances and all these ways I'm being told I have to be in order to, you know, whatever, like in order to access God and you know, be a spiritual person, it's just not working for me. So in all of that, I've really found adjusting language to be inclusive for any and all people who are tuning in, because a lot of people who tune into the drip either, you know, are developing a spiritual practice after a long time of not practicing one, returning to one. Maybe there's like a remembering that's happening. People from all different ancestral lineages and walks and paths of life coming to this same watering hole to receive information. My job deeply feels like to be as available for all of the language shifts as possible. So that's always my intention with all of these decks. And a deck that really brought me into my, like, how do I want to say? I just feel like it's such a good tool for learning a bunch of stories about divine feminine goddesses and saints from the consciousness of someone who is a feminist theologian. This, I would say, if I had to choose a favorite deck and I could just take one deck with me forever, the Divine Feminine deck. from Megan Watterson. And Megan Watterson also wrote Mary Magdalene Revealed, a lot of deep nutrients in that book, especially around like reclaiming a spiritual practice. If you happen to also be someone who grew up in the church, I found that book to be a really powerful part of my mystery school training. And each of these cards offers a story of each of these feminine archetypes, and then a prompt and a beautiful description that's historically researched, and it just feels like this deck feels like it has so much reverence. And I just love Megan Watterson as a teacher and channel. So those are the decks that I have around me right now. May they spark some deck magnetizing in on your end. And now I'm going to go make myself some scrambled eggs and spinach and toast and get ready for our live coven gathering. So if you're joining us for that, I'll see you at noon on our Zoom link. That's linked in live coven gathering on Discord. You also got a message on Patreon about that. And thank you to those of you who joined us for this episode of The Drip. I will see you next Friday for episode 48, where I think we're going to talk about self-care as art and ritual and work with the energy of Taurus. And we'll see how that continues to spiral in. Enjoy the mystery school. Enjoy your sovereignty. Enjoy your breath. Enjoy your body. Remember, it is your divine right to inhabit the inner temple space. I'm going to say namaste on YouTube first. Thank you, beautiful beings, for joining us live and on the replay. I will see you next time. Many blessings.